Last days at Cossipore. When Sri Ramakrishna's illness showed signs of aggravation, the devotees, following the advice of Dr. Sarkar, rented a spacious garden house at Cossipore, in the northern suburbs of Calcutta. The master was removed to this place on December 11, 1885. It was at Cossipore that the curtain fell on the varied activities of the master's life on the physical plane. His soul lingered in the body 8 months more. It was the period of his great passion, a constant crucifixion of the body and the triumphant revelation of the soul. Here one sees the humanity and divinity of the Master, passing and repassing across a thin borderline. Every minute of those 8 months was suffused with touching tenderness of heart and breathtaking elevation of spirit. Every word he uttered was full of pathos and sublimity. It took the group only a few days to become adjusted to the new environment. The Holy Mother, assisted by Sri Ramakrishna's niece, Lakshmi Devi, and a few women devotees, took charge of the cooking for the master and his attendants. Surendra willingly bore the major portion of the expenses, other householders contributing according to their means. 12 disciples were constant attendants of the master: Narendra, Rakhal, Baburam, Niranjan, Jogin, Latu, Tarak, the elder Gopal, Kali, Shashi, Sharad, and the younger Gopal. Sharada, Harish, Hari, Gangadhar, and Tulasi visited the master from time to time and practiced sadhana at home. Narendra, preparing for his law examination, brought his books to the garden house in order to continue his studies during the infrequent spare moments. He encouraged his brother disciples to intensify their meditation, scriptural studies, and other spiritual disciplines. They all forgot their relatives and their worldly duties. Among the attendants, Shashi was the embodiment of service. He did not practice meditation, japa, or any of the other disciplines followed by his brother devotees. He was convinced that service to the Guru was the only religion for him. He forgot food and rest, and was ever ready at the master's bedside. Pandit Shashadhar one day suggested to the master that the latter could remove the illness by concentrating his mind on the throat. The scriptures having declared that yogis had power to cure themselves in that way. The master rebuked the Pandit. For a scholar like you to make such a proposal, he said. How can I withdraw the mind from the lotus feet of God and turn it to this worthless cage of flesh and blood? For our sake at least, begged Narendra and other disciples. But, replied Sri Ramakrishna, do you think I enjoy this suffering? I wish to recover, but that depends on the mother. Narendra, then please pray to her. She must listen to you. Master, but I cannot pray for the body. Narendra, you must do it, for our sake at least. Master, very well. I shall try. A few hours later, the master said to Narendra, I said to her, Mother, I cannot swallow food because of my pain. Make it possible for me to eat a little. She pointed you all out to me and said, What? You are eating enough through all these mouths. Isn't that so? I was ashamed and could not utter another word. This dashed all the hopes of the devotees for the master's recovery. I shall make the whole thing public before I go, the master had said some time before. On January 1, 1886, he felt better and came down to the garden for a little stroll. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Some 30 lay disciples were in the hall or sitting about under the trees. Sri Ramakrishna said to Girish, Well, Girish, what have you seen in me that you proclaim me before everybody as an incarnation of God? Girish was not the man to be taken by surprise. He knelt before the master and said with folded hands, What can an insignificant person like myself say about the one whose glory even the sages like Vyasa and Valmiki could not adequately measure? The master was profoundly moved. He said, What more shall I say? I bless you all. Be illumined. He fell into a spiritual mood. Hearing these words, the devotees, one and all, became overwhelmed with emotion. They rushed to him and fell at his feet. He touched them all, and each received an appropriate benediction. Each of them, at the touch of the master, experienced ineffable bliss. Some laughed, some wept, some sat down to meditate, some began to pray, some saw light, some had visions of their chosen ideals, and some felt within their bodies the rush of spiritual power. Narendra, consumed with a terrific fever for realization, complained to the master that all the others had attained peace and that he alone was dissatisfied. The master asked what he wanted. Narendra begged for samadhi, so that he might altogether forget the world for 3 or 4 days at a time. "You are a fool," the master rebuked him. "There is a state even higher than that. Isn't it you who sing? All that exists art thou. First of all, settle your family affairs, and then come to me. You will experience a state even higher than samadhi."